children, I'm Jayashree. I'm here with Class 10th ICSE poem Patriot. I will discuss all the aspects of this poem so that you can go with the new pattern of examination in this COVID period as it is based on MCQ. After listening this video, you will be able to answer all the questions with great confidence. This poem is a most famous poem of 19th century, Patriot. This is written by Robert Browning. He adopted a modern literary device of 19th century and it was called dramatic monologue. The Patriot focuses on the narrator who dramatically refers to himself. It is a story about a man who was admired by his pupil as a great hero but was misunderstood and they rejected him later. He is going to be hanged in front of public. The first stanza of this poem, it was roses and roses all the way, with myrtle mixed in my path like mad. The church, the poet who was describing an event which he met a year ago. His path was showered with lots of rose petals with myrtle mixed on them. He was seeing hundreds of people who were standing on the roofs of their houses and cheered for him. The house roofs seemed to heave a sway. Sway means it was flourished by the people who were cheering. The church spires flamed. Such flags they had. The public was overjoyed to see their hero. The spires of church means the tapering roofs were covered with flaming flags and people waved those flags to show their overwhelming joy, to greet and welcome their hero. A year ago on this very day. So here he is describing a picture which he has experienced a year ago. Here the picture of grand celebration is depicted to show some great achievement on the speaker's part. Maybe it was a great victory of any war. Here the patriot is predicted as a great hero who has loved by his common pupil. Now children, come to the second stanza of the poem. The air broke into a mist with bells. The old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. Had I said, good folk, mere noise repels, but give me your son from yonder sky, they had answered, and afterward, what else? The explanation of these lines are, here the speaker continues the story of that day. So it is a continuation of the first passage. The people were ringing bells, and the entire regions was bursting by the sound of bells. They were standing on old walls, probably of church walls, and they all were cheering for their patriot. The speaker said that had he asked for anything, the pupil was so happy that if the patriot would have asked them to bring him the sun from the skies, they would have replied, and afterwards, what else? The expression behind this line is that they were willing to do whatever the patriot would have said. They are so overwhelmed and they loved their hero so much that they are reluctant to do anything for him. The third stanza, Alack, it was I who leaped at the sun to give it my loving friend to keep. Not man can do have I left undone, and you see my harvest, what I reap this very day, now a year is run. So this stanza reveals the reality after the initial hype. In the first two stanzas, you were told about that what had happened with him a year ago. He was very much loved and cheered by his pupil. The pupil had only been speaking words and pretending to reverie the poet because actually he was who had leaped for the sun. Leap for the sun means tried to achieve the impossible. The ancient Greek myth of Icarus and Daedalus. It is described here. It's a good way to explain. Icarus had flown to the sun, but closer he got, his wings melted off. This story revolves around the escape of the two men from a high tower. They were Icarus and Daedalus, where they were held prisoners by making wings out of bird's feather. So here he says that he did something which was impossible, that all his rewards are clear for everyone to see, but what has happened to him? Giving the sun the loving friends to keep means his actions somehow caused the death of his close friends, and he knew this. He is talking about some battle that claimed the lives of his dear ones. He did everything that a man could have done to make the things right, but despite he met an undeserved end. Harvest and reap refers to that he do not deserve what he has received. So he is feeling regretted for that. He says it has been a year, that means he is in flashback. So these lines are also in the flashback. Now you will see the stanza 4. There is nobody on the housetops now. So by reading these lines, you have come to know that this is talking about the present. There is nobody on the housetops now, just a palisade few at the window set. Now the speaker is talking about present. He compares the scene of present to the past scenario. Now he has been convicted and being led to the gallows to path of the dead. He has been convicted for the mistake he had done. Just a palisade few at the window set. Now the place is empty and there are nobody to cheer his gallantry. Only few people are there. Palisade means who are very old and deceased, because they are unable to cross the threshold of their houses to see the patriot marching towards his death. For the best of the sight is all allowed at the shambles gate, or better yet, by the scaffold's very foot I throw. The people have gathered at the shambles gate. So it is the gate of gallows to see him die. The speaker makes here a heart-touching comment that the best scene is at the gate of slaughterhouse, where he is going to be hanged till death in front of his pupil, means in front of the public. It is at the foot of scaffold where the same pupil who had cheered him and who had thrown the roses petals to cheer his hero, they same pupil where they have gathered to see him die, who were cheering for him a year ago. He knows that his forehead is bleeding because people are throwing stones at him. By the hitting of those stones, he was bleeding from his forehead. The petals of roses are now turned into stones. But the speaker is not angry by his pupil who are throwing stones at him, because he knew that they are doing this because of his misdeeds. He knows that he is misunderstood by the pupil. Although he is regretted for the things what he is receiving, because his intentions were not wrong. He is only misunderstood by the pupil. Here is the stanza 6 of the poem. Thus I entered and there I go, with exclamation mark. In triumph's pupil have dropped down deed. Part by the word, what dost thou owe me? God might question, now indeed, this God shall repay, I am safer so. So, I entered and I go here refers to his entry and exit of life. As every person take birth in this world and they depart. He is sure about his deeds are correct. So he call it a triumph. Triumph means victory. He has called his deeds a triumph, that he is victorious. That he believes that he stand by the right things, thus he is victorious even after his defeat. Browning says about religious beliefs. He say that God might say, your sins have already washed away when you are died. Pupil sought it and they punished you for this. Now you are free from all corruption. Probably speaker thinks that his all poems, that all his deeds. Probably speaker is thinking that his all previous deeds ends up here in the mortal world, and now he will go to heaven directly. He feels that God knows that what he did and that was right, and now he will be safer under him. So the poem ends up with an optimistic note. It seems his death sentence is for a wrong reason, and he tried to persuade his pupil who has misunderstood him. It is a dramatic monologue and written by Robert Browning of Victorian era. The poet talks about politics, patriotism, religious beliefs, and sacrifices of his leaders. Now let's discuss the rhyming scheme. There is a particular rhyming scheme. You will see that every stanza is made of 5 lines, and those 5 lines are rhyming with A, B, A, B, A. Figure of speech. Now I am going to tell you the figure of speech which has been used in this poem. The first is assonance. The lines are, it was roses, roses all the way. The church spires flamed, such flags they had. Here the assonance is being used. The second figure of speech is used, alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound words. Like myrtle mixed. Here you are seeing that M is being repeated in continuous 2 words. Next lines are, by the field my forehead bleeds, drop down dead. This is also alliteration. Next is anaphora. Anaphora, the lines, thus I entered and thus I go. Here the repetition of thus is used in anaphora. Next figure of speech is metaphor. Metaphor, the air broke into a mist. Here the air is directly compared with mist. So the air broke into a mist with bells is an example of metaphor. Next figure of speech is personification. Personification where the non-living things are taken as lively things. The old walls rocked. Here the walls are taken as if live, being live. Now there is one more thing, rhetoric question. Rhetoric questions are those, this poem is written in this form, a rhetoric question. These questions are those where a question that is not asked to receive an answer. It is expected that there is someone who can make their minds for the answer, but that is not received. The lines, paid by the world, what dost thou owe me? Here is a question mark, good might question. Now children, I have covered all the aspects of this poem, Patriot. For your more convenience, I am adding some MCQ questions. As you know that the board pattern has changed and now you will face MCQ questions in your first semesters. These will definitely help you to score good marks for your boards. I will suggest you to solve the worksheet without seeing the answers. And if you have listened my video thoroughly, you will definitely be able to answer these questions. So, for making your understanding, go through videos several times. And at the end, I will give answer sheet also. So children, do like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my educational videos. You can ask me the questions in the comment section regarding this poem. I will surely solve your doubts.